Hi, it is your local internet friend here, and I'm I had to spend an entire week literally getting myself back to some sort of normal after having an all day out beach day Sunday. It was fun. I was just tired afterwards. Anyway, one of the things throughout the entire week last week that I ended up having to come to terms with and process is actually something that's a little less sad than I'm about to make it sound. For anyone wondering why I'm not specifically looking at the camera, I'm looking behind the camera because I have an incense burning right now, and the smoke that's coming from it is very interesting to me right now. The topic of this video specifically is the idea of a person that has gone through prolonged discomfort will often forget what comfort actually feels like, or what comfort is supposed to feel like. Allow me to explain. The first thing I want to do is specify something that I said in a video I've done at least slightly less than a year ago. I specifically did it in September, and in the video I spoke on trying to define the word love specifically, and the definition that I came to was that love is a sort of comfort for me, or at the very least is supposed to feel like comfort to me. And as much as I'm correct to some extent in that video, there's also something that I completely forgot. And that is, I am someone that's gone through a lot. The best question I would end up probably asking myself in that video is, what is comfort for someone who only knows of chaos? Now, while my upbringing itself is traumatizing enough for me to question what comfort is for me, but I would only classify it as chaotic at best. I also had to come to terms with the fact that my brain itself is wired differently, so a lot of the stuff that I'd gone through, I didn't recognize was actually not comfort at that time. Again, because you can't necessarily know what something is until either A, someone tells you in a way that you understand, or B, you end up getting out of it. For someone who has basically been living in a chaotic state or in a state of survival, relaxation feels uncomfortable because you are constantly thinking that there's something, that this is only the calm before the storm. And the storm always seems to be negative somehow. So when revisiting the idea of what does love mean to me, after recognizing that, I also had to ask myself, what does comfort mean to me? And what I found out was, at the time, comfort was just something that I'm used to. Again, this is another reason as to why people who have been specifically in toxic at best, abusive at worst relationships, whether it be romantic or platonic or familial, will often continue the cycle of going into toxic at best, abusive at worst relationships, platonic or romantic. It's simply because they're going for something that feels comfortable, like they've gone through this before. And sometimes, more often than not, it's unintentional and also without awareness. Now, getting back to one of the things that I specifically had to process throughout last week as of recording this video. That thing specifically was that I finally, after years, feel whole. Like I feel like a full person. I don't feel like just pieces and parts of a person. And I have only ended up getting to this point due to spending an entire year acknowledging and accepting parts of myself that I didn't even know was hidden. Well, that I didn't consciously know was I was hiding. While also trying to teach myself things that I think I should have learned when I was a child. But again, with my brain being wired differently, I didn't necessarily learn. And part of that specifically was trying to figure out definitions of words that are typically used a lot. Specifically when it comes to healing, when it comes to like processing trauma, spiritual workings, shadow work, all of that. And something else I ended up uh, thinking about was that part of shadow work is finding definitions for commonly used words. Words like love, loyalty, and fairness. Your job as a human is to try to define these words for yourself. Like, example, loyalty. Loyalty for me also includes honesty and authenticity. And another example is fairness. Fairness can look like several different things for me. And it all depends on the situation at hand and the circumstances that had brought us to the situation. So basically, a part of shadow work is noticing any patterns between how you were raised and how you are currently navigating the world, and not immediately falling to judgment. One, being aware of the pattern, which is essentially the easiest part. Two, accepting that there is a pattern and where you specifically fall in that pattern. Like where your decisions specifically fall within that pattern, which is not as easy as the first one. And the third one is essentially to do what you can specifically to change said pattern. That does not mean controlling other people. And once again, one, figuring that out for yourself depending on the situation is very difficult. But also, two, even the way that I explained it doesn't necessarily make sense. I honestly wish I actually made sense in this video, because even as I wrote everything down and I'm trying to explain it the best way that I possibly can, I still don't know whether I actually made sense. And I don't think I'll actually know until I start editing. Even today, I had to go ahead and like write stuff down that was in my head, because I had been processing a lot this morning. And I started to become aware of a lot more things that I had to go ahead and write out so I can figure it out within my brain. That's just a long-winded way of saying my brain is already tired because we had to process something that came up this morning, and I was like, but we also have to film a video. And as much as I tried to like make sure that I didn't have to use too much brain power in with filming this video, I still ended up doing so. The two things that I want to go ahead and leave this video off with is, one, a person that has been in prolonged discomfort, or a person that has learned to survive in chaos, will never truly know what comfort is, and will often be very scared of comfort and relaxed perfection. And two, as a correction of my last video, one of my videos I did last year, specifically the What is Love video. For me, love isn't necessarily just comfort. It is the acceptance of oneself and the acceptance of other parties, the acceptance of the situation at hand, and the recognizing exactly whether you would want to change anything. It's more of awareness and acceptance than comfort. I might not actually have like a final definition as of now because words are very difficult, but that is what I'm saying. It's not just comfort, it is like awareness and acceptance. Now that I've done doing all of that, it is time for me to do the stereotypical YouTuber outro, where I, as a stereotypical YouTuber, would ask you to do the following. My brain hurts. I forgot words. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified of whenever I post, and put any type of questions, comments, concerns or ideas for future videos into the comment section down below. With all that being said, my name is Toki, and this has been your local internet friend signing off.